All right. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Pricing Strategies and Negotiation Tactics. Today is all about pricing and negotiation as a professional skill. It's not about who you are personally. By the end of the session, I hope that you feel that you have a clear pricing framework that you can put forward for any of your projects that you do, that you can use any of the language that I have here as immediate as you wish, whether it be right now as the webinar is going or thereafter on your own time. Also, that you have the tools to protect your time and your energy, because I think that's something that we all need to harness and hold on to. And it is in our best interest to be sure that we protect it as best as we can. So you're welcome to type it in the chat. What is the hardest part of pricing right now for you? While I go ahead and I set myself up for what's to come.
I think it's just hard to know what the right number is. Obviously, I want it to be as high as possible, but also, like you have to be realistic. Like, what will people be okay with? And I never know. You never really know when you
Mhm.
land on something if that's as much as you could be getting,
Right.
or if that was the right number.
Right. So basically, just saying the number out loud and feeling okay with it.
Yeah, yeah. But also, I feel like sometimes like I guess it's hard because with like for example like students sometimes you put a number too high and then the parents gonna be like, oh well, no, we need to look for something, and then they just go away. So it's like there is like a risk at going overshooting it, but at the same time you don't want to undershoot it either.
Right. Yeah. Just finding that middle ground for all parties to feel comfortable about what it is that you are putting forward. I hear you. Chris, you wrote opportunities where I can negotiate. Ah, yes, we have our final person coming in now. Fixed fees by schools. Yup. Gigs with set contracts. Yup. Some things there may not be as strong of a negotiation, but there are ways that we can take control of our own businesses to ensure that, if we have our own private studios or if we have our own ensembles, that we can then put forward for the public that we have control of that, what do you call it, that pricing and our negotiation with our players. Cool. Welcome, Amy and Levi from afar. I think now is the time to go ahead and shift gears. And let's go ahead to share the screen so that we can see all these wonderful things that I've put forward. Alrighty, so this is pricing strategies and negotiation tactics again. We talked about what some people's hardest parts were, and for some, it was making sure that you say the right number that fits everybody's comfort level, including yours, including the client or the students. This could also be some things are unchangeable. Like if we were to teach in schools in the state of Texas, nothing against the state of Texas. I'm happy they do it. But also, we know our value as private lesson teachers are very different than that of if we're going into the schools or if we play with orchestras. And no matter what, it is a fixed section rate, principal rate, etc. But then again, if we have our own ensemble that we decide we want to run, what do we want to negotiate in price for our players or for ourselves? Or even just negotiating our own salaries if we are about to walk into academia, for instance, Dr. Fetting, I see from far, or even Levi, if you're looking to find a rate in your future after you're graduated, when you're working with agencies, how does that all work out for you? So let's dive into this. So, why pricing feels uncomfortable? Most freelancers were trained to perform. We're not necessarily trained to price. Pricing discomfort usually comes from any of the following. Hannah, you mentioned this earlier, the fear of rejection, identity being tied to approval. It could also be inconsistent industry standards. So, in maybe Chris's case when he put it in the text message or in the chat, school rates are going to be very different than that of if we have it held at our own private studios. That combination makes pricing feel personal, even when it shouldn't be. So you can put this in the chat or you can say it out loud. What's with one word? How does pricing usually feel for you? I can say for me, it's awkward. Anybody else want to chime in? I can also check back to see if anybody put in the text. No text. That being said, that one word that you feel, how pricing usually feels, it's usually based off of what is described that is missing in your system. So it's not necessarily you missing your talent or your training or your expertise. It's just a matter of systematizing and making maybe my word being awkward less awkward. So, my journey with pricing early in my freelance career, I certainly undercharged consistently, and I knew it. Not because I didn't work hard, but because I thought being flexible meant being chosen. So, I took work that demanded high preparation and low return, and I ultimately absorbed the cost. And everything changed when I stopped trying or tying my worth to approval and started building structure in my pricing. So once pricing and communication and negotiation became repeatable, my income ultimately will stabilize and has stabilized. And my schedule improved over time, and so did my confidence. So if you will, in your heads and or in the chat, you're welcome to do so. Think of one gig that drained you after it ended. It could be anything. And if you prefer to keep it discreet without saying the organization, totally fine. You could just describe the experience. Uh-huh. The one word, Chris and Hannah. Uncertain. I think my voice isn't coming through. Fair. Oh yeah, it didn't come through, Chris. I'm sorry. I'm reading it, but without actually acknowledging what that meant. All right, done. The one word I said prior was non-negotiable. Sorry, trying to fix my mic. Defeating. All right, so circling back on thinking about one gig that drained you after it ended. Can any of you think of a time when you performed a gig where you went in, I had a gig in Stevensville, and I didn't realize Stevensville was all the way out in West Texas. And my stand partner was, oh no, that's never fun. That had to have been like a 4 hour commute. And on top of that, you didn't necessarily have a pleasant experience with the person next to you. That's never fun. Yeah. And with that, how was the compensation? Did it level out the experience or did it make it almost less motivational? Yep, it wasn't enough for the drive. Exactly. Chris, Amy, Levi, Connor, anybody want to chime in? Connor, I know that you're driving, so you probably shouldn't text while driving. It wasn't enough for the drive, yeah. I've definitely had gigs like that where, well, actually, I remember very vividly when I did my very first, oh, defeating was the word I used for some of these gigs. Yeah, defeating. I see. when I traveled from Chicago to Tulsa the very, very first time before I relocated, I wanted to get something in while taking an audition in Fayetteville. And I took a gig, and I mean, it was pennies back then. And I drove all the way down from Chicago to Fayetteville to start. I did the gig, and it was a little bit, I don't know, weird of an experience, I guess. It didn't really make me feel empowered to eventually take that audition, but thankfully I won the audition and here we are. But it was just that moment of it felt awkward. It didn't really, and the Penny's gig was not necessarily helping me feel inclined to want to relocate. But thankfully, I had built enough other work around me that it made it worth the relocation over time. And again, for Hannah and Chris, so ultimately, your situations were not a motivation issue. I think they were more of a pricing problem. I think if y'all were compensated more for those gigs, it may have been less of an issue in the sense of, oh, the drive sucked. Oh, this person was not very fun to work with. I don't know, the gig felt defeating. If there was money that raised the stakes higher, then I think we would have less of this drained feeling over time. So we have to ultimately, as freelancers, reframe what we're worth. Um, so charging what you're worth is not necessarily an emotional issue, and it's definitely not an ego-based situation. It's strategy. It's strategic. Your rate is not a statement about your value as a person. It's a calculation based on scope, responsibility, and expertise. So my rate reflects my scope, my responsibility, my experience, my structure, and the confidence that follows clarity, not the other way around. So your pricing is built for components. Ultimately, there are four components that we need to consider, as I mentioned before. It's skill and expertise, scope of work, time and energy cost, as well as professional risk and responsibility. And I have created a little link here for, oopsies, here we go, that I'd like to share with all of you. All right, so, oopsies, sorry, buddy. Ah, the joys of the internet. All right, so the four concepts of confident pricing framework. I used my adult education business as a template for this. So we want to think about structure before our price. We want to start by thinking pricing is the strongest when it's attached to a clear structure. So what am I offering? I'm offering group cello and bass instruction for adults. What's the format of this? It's 2 weekly group classes. There's a technique and a rep class that I offer for each week for 50 weeks a year. It's full year enrollment, 2 classes per week with an enrollment model of rolling admissions and annual tuition. Notes on why this structure exists. You can read as you will. Ultimately, there's recordings every day. There's group classes for everybody to feel collaborative, work together, hear each other, and develop ensemble skills. Everything is, in fact, online, so it's what we build together, and the purpose is to reduce tension and open your mind as well as find efficiency in practicing. Baseline anchoring, your baseline is the number that holds your business steady. So annual income targets, you want to think about what this ultimately will cover. It covers my time, it covers a curriculum that I use through school, as well as studio costs, and thinking about the amount of lessons that I would give for 50 weeks a year per student. And that's how I came up with 5,500 a month, or a year, excuse me, 5,500 a year. Weeks worked over time, it's 50 weeks. Services include, again, the two group classes per week, class recordings, and structured curriculum. And no matter what, the minimum rate is 5,500. What this also protects is my energy. I want no overload out of this. I've already created the curriculum and I already have recordings available if people want to search back to identify what was addressed in a previous class. Consistency and quality of instruction, long-term sustainability of the studio, because I'm a fan of automation and systemization, as we probably have learned over the course of my webinar series. And this also ensures that students receive the full ergonomic mindset and practice efficiency benefits since day one of starting. So this also covers boundaries. So you want to be sure that you are, flexible with some of the boundaries over your flexibility. So you want to have your boundaries make negotiation possible without erosion. So the non-negotiables are the rate, the amount of times I meet per week, as well as the full year enrollment. And of course, there are some flexible elements, including when people want to start, at what level they want to start, because everybody learns together. And there's a payment schedule that you can do, either monthly, full payment up front, or even a 6-month payment. And ultimately, this supports my professionalism because it prevents underpricing or overcommitment, communicates consistency and fairness to all students, keeps focus on delivering high quality instruction, guarantees the tension reduction, mindset, and practice efficiency outcomes. So whenever I do get maybe some sort of an objection about this, I keep it pretty straightforward. I give a 1-sentence pricing statement. Strung Low Teaching Studio is a full year enrollment program with 2 weekly group classes, full access to class recordings and instruction, designed to reduce tension and improve playing efficiency for $5,500. The end. So, I mean, the common objections you can read below. Ultimately, I'll talk about it later in handling objections without discounting. But my default response would basically say, hey, this is my structure. I'm going to clarify my scope with you. Because I think the number scares people rather than addressing the value even more clearly with them. I think that helps tremendously in identifying, is it the number or is it the value that doesn't align with the individual? Keep it calm, clear, and professional when you are talking to them. And where I tend to over explain is why the group classes are valuable. Where I need firmer structure, maybe tuition and class format clarity up front, or possibly just stating that the recordings are available all the time so we can watch them at any time. There, at that point, once you've paid, you have access to like 30 classes already. One action I will take to strengthen my pricing this month: update enrollment page and intake form to clearly state tuition, program structure, and purpose. Equally so, I can also put an ad out there with my virtual assistant to ensure that I make it very clear what it is I'm putting out there, and wait until I have a strategy call to share that information with the prospective client. How does this resonate with people in terms of identifying these 4 components and with the worksheet that I put out there? Where is everybody? There's everybody. Gotcha.
Testing to see if I can be heard this time.
Yeah, man.
Okay, cool. Yay. There's a lot that I like about this. I think, kind of going back to a little bit of something that Hannah said earlier, like, there's just, I think, a lack of confidence on my part of saying, like, yes, I understand on some level that this is what I should be paid, that this structure should, like, this is what I don't want to undersell myself, right?
Yeah.
But there's still the sense of, oh no, if I set this boundary too firmly,
Mhm.
am I just not going to be able to get enough students,
Sure.
or whatever it is I'm particularly negotiating? I think there's just a fear element there, and on my end, while everything you say makes sense, the little paranoid voice in my head
Oh yeah.
still worries, like, oh, but can I do that? Can I actually, if I were to enforce that, would it actually, would I actually end up with students?
Right. Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, there's a couple of ways to navigate that. If you find that no matter how many inquiries you receive, whereby you then share that price, if you find that after 10 or even 20 inquiries with the price you stated, that not a single one of them have been drawn to you, then perhaps that's an opportunity to reassess these components again and just see, okay, what are the things you're aspiring for, but equally so, what might not be clear in the system that
Hmm.
is then putting them in this state of, I don't know if I want to be a part of it.
Yeah. Um, that makes sense because that's the kind of the reflection part at the end. I think
Yes.
I was hung up on the first three parts.
Yeah.
My other or I don't know if there's chats going on with other people. I don't want to hog
No,
up
no,
all
no,
the
no,
time.
you're good. You're good. You're good.
Okay. My other question is a little like I think it's less for the case of something like teaching, but if it is something about like organizing an ensemble of some sort, where you have those things that you put as non-negotiable, and I have found myself at times falling, unfortunately, you fall a little bit into the trap of oh, this doesn't pay as well as I would like, but oh, this seems like a fun opportunity. Like this seems like something artistically that I would want to be
Yeah.
involved in. And so I guess like when you put it there as being non-flexible, I understand like this is from a teaching perspective, but like how do you in that realm like negotiate saying like how much money am I willing to potentially take off if the opportunity feels like it is artistically
Yeah.
satisfying, you know?
Yeah. Oh, I do. So I like to think of myself as incredibly savvy in these kinds of moments because I take opportunities at this point that deliver one of the three things. And if they all are on a high, I mean, it's a no brainer. I'm doing the gig. I have to be paid adequately, like everybody else, whatever that looks like for you. Um, I have to feel like I'm getting an artistic experience, which is something that you're desiring in this particular conversation. But equally so, I want to feel like I'm surrounded by a community of people who charge me for, making me feel like I'm a part of the community or a part of the ensemble and make me want to play with them again. There are times where obviously payment is not where it ought to be, but I kind of play the game. The game being, all right, how can I get more money out of this? So maybe I carpool with people and people come into my vehicle and I add more money by, just simply adding another passenger, for instance, and adding gas mileage to it. Maybe they offer per diem, however, they somehow feed us during breaks. So I stash food from those breaks and I get all this per diem that I don't need to use. Or maybe I bring my own meals and the hotel has a refrigerator. So it's a little bit of how far are you willing to go, but equally so, does it stray away from the other levels of what makes your experience worthwhile? And that being, the artistic and the community at that point. Maybe they add more dollars for principal. So if it's something that you feel that you want to take the chance and be a principal player, then they might add more to your rate. I'm trying to think what else. That's the few that come to mind right off the bat. If that helps you, Chris. Cool. I'm just reading Levi's stuff. School projects are pretty tedious to me. I can think of an instance or two when an organizer has asked me. Yep, we've definitely talked about this literally a couple days ago. I hear you, Levi. It's never fun. Okay. All right, let's keep going. So, friends, now we talk about your baseline being your anchor. This is where you are establishing the base rate for yourself. This is the lowest number you can charge without any sort of resentment with your prospective client or student. This is not aspirational. This is meant to be sustainable. Can you all name one service you offer, one that's a minimum rate that allows you to show up fully? If you can't name it, negotiation will always feel personal. Can you think of a minimum rate that allows you to show up as who you are, as the musician, as the teacher, such that you feel at your best? Nice. No dot or comma right there, Levi. This is not a conversation I've had with myself, which is probably part of. Okay. Well, this is a good way to meta-cognitively process this, don't you think? Nope, no comma, no periods. Okay. Good deal. I like that you state it firmly. Hannah, do you have anything to chime in on? So what would be the minimum rate that allows you to show up fully before I swivel back into establishing your baseline? For me at this point, when it comes to, I think maybe I'm the same boat as Chris. So establishing this form of question, what would be the minimum rate that allows you to show up as Miss Hannah, as Mr. Chris, at their best, feeling like they are valued? So for me, I was undercharging in Houston as a private teacher, whereby I knew it was a problem because my students weren't practicing as hard as I know they should have. I also recognized that it was just not sustainable with the rent situation out there and all the expenses that I had going on for myself, such that I finally raised my rates in Dallas to be 45 a half hour. And I found that more time with students, I actually was more energized to be able to teach them. So that's when I gave a slight reduction for my hour longs. They are not 90, they are 80, simply because usually the hour long students are the ones who are devoted. They're the ones who want to push themselves. They're the ones who push me at times. And as a result, I'm like, I'm groovy with this. I have a cello student I'm teaching after this. We're doing hide and see. We're doing port etudes. We're doing all sorts of things. We've been going at an hour long for a long time. But the thing is that she pushes me to be a better cellist and a better teacher. And that's kind of what I'm after with my students is, okay, there's a point where the student ends up becoming the mentor for me. Levi, you understand this, where as a result, I'm willing to really go for the gold with the hour longs because it suddenly does not drain me anymore. And as a result, I'm willing to take a little bit less for the hour long versus my half hours, which that can be a little bit of a slippery slope for some of my students as it pertains to the amount of work they put forward. And I want to make sure that my time is valued at that rate and at that reciprocation, if you will, of instruction. So I have designed an establishing your baseline worksheet, again, for Strong Low Teaching Studio. You'll notice here that this is my base that I talked about before, 5,500 a student. What it includes is what I had mentioned previous. So it lists my services, so weekly technique class, weekly repertoire class, studio instructional infrastructure, including recordings and a curriculum that come hand in hand. Everything is ultimately sequential and curriculum driven. So it's a curriculum design with every person's individual pacing in a group class format, aimed for improving ergonomics, mindset shift, and optimizing practice efficiency. It's ongoing and it requires advanced pedagogical planning for me specifically. Access to the true costs. Let's think about this. 2 lessons every week for 50 weeks. That's weekly lesson planning that I have to go in mentally and maybe even if I want to write it down physically. Demonstration and correction, which we know as instructors, this is critical in our role as instrumentalists and or conductors. We have to go in there with the idea that our job is to make this person better, whatever that looks like. But we also have to showcase what that can be for them. Class pacing and time management, group engagement and control. Estimated 36 to 40 weeks a year. It's ultimately going to be 50. My energy rating usually is on a high because these are hour-long lessons, as I mentioned before. And what that means to me is these people came prepared. These people are coming in knowing fully well that they want to work hard. They didn't just sign up for 5,500 a year just to slack off. So they're here to work hard. I'm willing to work hard with them. The same goes with the repertoire classes. You'll find that the admin stuff for me is a little bit more draining, which is why I have somebody who helps me with that. So the curriculum sequencing, thank God, I've already laid it out. It's done. I never really have to touch it. People can do what they will with it. The long range planning, over time, I have to ask myself, okay, what worked this year? And then what can I do next year? What can I do in 5 years, 10 years, etc. Assessment benchmarking as well. So again, having myself that eval. Determining your rate. So again, putting it out there, this is my rate. This is how we can do this: monthly installments, bi-monthly installments, 6-month installments, full year installments. Why I put it there? Because of, as you see below, covers tuition, recordings, sustainability while maintaining class quality, 2 weekly instructional commitments. Most are 1 week, so this is pretty significant. Energy investment, we have to ask ourselves how we're putting forward. So there's a high and consistent energy across the academic year or even the full year. For my case, predictable and stable ultimately with the compensation structure. And as a result, I feel high energy with high value. There's sustainable when there's a class size that is at its cap. My cap is usually about 15, just because there's only so much playing that can be done within an hour scope of time, whether it be in the technique class or the rep class. So we can see how the numbers add up if it makes it to that cap. It's pretty sweet. Sustainable when class sizes are a cap. Scales responsibly through group instruction. So, oopsies. Okay, there we go. So the real world factors, of course, enrollment caps. We want to be sure that we have that attendance policy if you want to have it there. Obviously with recordings, attendance policy is if you can't make it, check the recordings if you will. Academic calendar, it's really the full calendar. It reflects the full instructional year, not individual weeks. No outside support, so all instruction occurs during scheduled class time. And again, the recordings will be available. Boundaries are clearly defined in the studio policy. And then, of course, there's an action plan as well as a rate stretch if we want to stretch it further past a year, for instance. So this would include, within the year, if there's like additional performances or webinars or ensemble placements or supplemental workshops or something to that effect that might be added along the way. How does this resonate with people? I know that was a lot to digest.
I mean, on the whole, it sounds like a good structure of reflection that I've not totally done for myself. So I don't have like too much more to say on that other than I think I'm leaving this thinking these are some good questions I should be asking myself to try and set a floor of expectations.
Oh, for sure. And I think that's been the hardest thing for me around all of this is where do my boundaries exist? Where do my questions begin? And how do I protect myself along the way such that I'm financially protected, my clients feel like they're getting their value, and the energy that I keep is mine at its highest and grandest and top peaked value. Any other questions or thoughts from this worksheet?
So I mean, this is like a little off topic. So, but like, I guess like it all sounds really really helpful and everything, but I guess I'm just curious how you are able to get so many inquiries.
Mhm. In part, I have somebody that does advertising for me. So there's a lot of advertising that goes out into the socials, whereby, I put it out there like this is what my teaching philosophy is all about. This is a program that I offer whereby we talk about XYZ. I have a webinar on my website whereby people can view it there, as well as schedule a strategy call whereby my virtual assistant will do the onboarding based off of a script that I have in front of me, or them in this case, and basically sum up what are your challenges. You clearly need me in your trajectory for your development as a musician. How can we get you on board? This is how much it's worth. This is what it is. Handle objections, and then again, value forward.
Mm, okay, cool.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Wunderbar. Any other thoughts? Mr. Levi over in Arizona, any thoughts? He's probably out in the canyons somewhere.
Yeah, no, I think it's really useful stuff. I mean, I think it's really important to have a baseline because there are too many people and organizations that are willing to kind of step on musicians' toes, I think. So
Mm-hmm.
having a firm baseline is important.
I hear you. Something separate, but well in line with what everybody has said. As we all know, in the state of Texas, when it pertains to private lessons in the schools, it's not the most fruitful salary. I think we can all agree on that, especially my lovely colleagues on the other side of Sam Rayburn Tollway. It is just so low. But I say to the instructors that want me there, if you are going to have me for the rate that this is and for me to enjoy my time, you must have a minimum of 10 students a day. If I don't receive that, I will not work with you. So it becomes a little bit of a game and a bargain and a negotiation all in one, whereby I want to work with you because you're someone I want to work with, but you need to put some legwork into in order for this to be sustainable for me, worth my time and my while, and equally so, you know, giving me some sort of satisfaction out of it. And it's not necessarily like a numbers game, like I must have 30 private students in 2.5 days. It's absolutely not like that. I do want some quality with my students, which I generally do. But at the same time, I mean, if I'm going to be paid $25 for 20-minute lessons, I kind of want to optimize that over the $26 for 30-minute lessons, which is middle school and high school, respectively. So that's kind of my strategy as I go into some of these situations. If this is what it is, great. This is what I'm willing to do. Does that make sense with people?
Yeah, absolutely. Especially as a fellow low strings person.
Yeah.
Back when I was teaching in the schools, it was just like so many schools just had two students,
Yeah, no.
one at 8 a.m. and one at 3 p.m. Can you drive out 25 minutes to teach these two students? That just wasn't. Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, what I really like that kind of approach you took with them because I mean the role that the Texas public school lessons fills in my life is the they get what they pay for, and so I'm like super flaky, and that's what's anyway, that's my situation. And but anyway, I guess what I liked about what you're doing is like I feel like it's your, again, you're like putting a boundary up and you're saying like I guess I feel like everyone is incentivized to put all of the work onto someone else, and
Mhm.
you're putting up that boundary saying I'm not going to, like, you have to do your job if you want me to do my job, which I
Correct.
think is something I'm trying to do more, and yeah. So
Yeah.
anyway, I just
I might get a lot of controversy for saying this, but those orchestra directors, they have salaries. They get
yeah.
paid to do this.
No, I mean, sorry, go ahead.
No, no, no. This is great.
No, it's just like I guess I think I've always been someone who just like goes hard and like gives 110%, and then I realize like the world doesn't give 110%. Like a lot of times you need to say do your job. And I don't know.
Yeah,
It's nice to hear that from someone else. It's like you just do your job.
right. Your
Yep.
job, if you want me here, let's partner. And part of
Yep.
partnering is you want me to give private lessons. Fabulous. Give me those students.
Yeah.
Make it work.
Yep. Yep.
Exactly. Good. I love how this conversation's gone to that angle. I love it. All right. So structure creates your confidence. Structure removes improvisation. It can give you some sort of package offerings, if you will. So you can reduce negotiation friction through this method. You can clarify expectations. You can protect your baseline. So flexibility should ultimately come from scope, not necessarily discounts. Structure is how professionals say no calmly. So, for instance, I have in my policy, my private lesson policy, that if there is a sibling that wants to be tacked on, I am going to give a 15% incentive discount, if you will, for that sibling because they're already in. Now, the point is that they're traveling all together, and I'm trying to make their lives a little bit easier, knowing fully well that you just gave me two people. Thank you so much. Or having a referral fee, or if they want to um, pay up front for a recital as well that they are giving, it would be part of a separate package in addition to the private lessons that they would be paying every month. Um, Another opportunity that was put forward to me for one of my clusters that I teach at in Frisco is we are giving a bass class that we want to convert violinists to bassists. We have too many violinists. Can you help us? We have a bass choir that we want to feature for like atrium performances before concerts. Can you help us? And suddenly, because I work with that cluster intimately on whatever day a week I'm there, I'm like, wow, you have just raised the bar for me to want to continue to work with you. So there's that sense of incentivization that is put forward and structure that keeps me there. There's a package as opposed to just like, here's 8 students. Okay, give me something else, give me something that's going to make it worth my while. And it's all add-ons at that point. Any thoughts on this? If not, we must move on. All right, so clarity over justification. So state your rate clearly, ultimately. You only need to do it once and without an apology. My rate for this service is X, which includes preparation, performance, and follow up. It can be as simple as that if you wish. Then you stop talking and you let the client absorb that for a minute. You want to keep it neutral. And that's the end of clarity over justification. So, off the top of your head, how does that resonate with us?
Yeah. I this is a really piece of simple advice that I just feel like I need to hear because I feel like, yeah, maybe trying to oversell things in a way of, no, like, this is why, like, coming off maybe desperate or defensive of
Hmm.
what I should charge, as opposed to just saying, no, this is what it is.
Yeah, matter of fact,
Yeah.
for sure. hmm Um, have you used other phrases before, Chris, that might have been effective?
Other phrases, as in what, as opposed to like the clarity over justification, or
Or
uh,
like stating something clearly or maybe even justifying it. Like, have you used words that justified your statement?
Yeah, and I think that's the thing is it when it's attempting. I like the clarity over justification because I feel like when I've tried to justify, that comes off as maybe defensive or annoyed even at times. That
Hmm.
like no, this is why I have to charge this, as opposed to just being like no, this is the
Hmm.
deal. This is what it includes.
Yeah.
That's
Hmm.
it.
Gotcha.
And let them, come to me if that works for them.
Sure. Anybody else tried this? Anybody say things like, I'm flexible? Oh, Hannah, you look like you're about to say something. Go ahead.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think the way that we're educated, we we're always in an environment where we're just trying to get picked, in school, and we're like
Hmm.
we're always just trying to please people, and oh, because it's such a competitive field and all that stuff. And so I think it really, I just really the just stop talking really resonates with me because this there is this kind of like anxiety that comes with that like dead air, because you feel like, oh, I'm supposed to be pleasing someone, and it's just actually not like that outside
Yeah.
of school.
Yeah, absolutely. And my husband, he's in, if we're gonna go MBTI language for a moment, I'm an ESTJ, he's an INFJ.
Mm,
He has to process whatever is posed to him. So whenever he gets silent, I know deep down he's trying to process what it is that is being said directly to him from my mouth because I can be a very direct person. And for
mm,
him, that can be a lot. So, consequentially, what that means is that I need to step back and just say what needs to be said, let him do the processing, and when he's ready, they'll talk.
yeah.
And it's kind of a similar situation with clients or students that we feel like we have to be polite. We feel like we're giving an act of service that we have to piecemeal our lives together to make it work. But really, all this is just it's a language. It's a
Hmm.
pricing language, making sure that we hold ourselves firm with what we believe in for ourselves based off of, again, the four components: our skills, our expertise, our scope of work over the course of time, the market. So those are things that we have to always attribute toward whenever we're giving our clarity and over the justification. Cool. Let's go on, shall we? So now, objections. Oh, baby, objections. This is where things get real spicy real quick for certain people. So, pushback doesn't mean that your rate is wrong. It means someone needs one of the following things. It might be that they need clarity, they may need time, they also may need a different scope of what it is that you're trying to convey with the project or program that you have in mind. So, has anybody received an objection like that's higher than what we were hoping for? And if so, how would you respond to something like that? Anybody?
I guess I've just like I think that I just don't maybe complete the process, and they just say it's higher than we want to spend, and I just I don't know what to say. I'm like, okay. And so I just kind of I
Mm,
don't adjust the rate. I think I just don't adjust the scope either. I'm like, okay, well, I guess you don't want to take
right.
lessons.
Right, and there could be that. It may just be a misalignment or a mismatch of, client and owner of project, and that's perfectly fine too. And those are actually kind of lifesavers in the end because if it doesn't align from the beginning and you put them on, you can't fix them. They're going to be set in their ways. So then you have to bear the consequences of their involvement in your world like that. And energy and time is sacrificed for that.
Yeah, yeah. I think like for sure, but I'm also realizing that like I never even try. Like it might be something where like they maybe actually would have, you know, uh yeah, maybe they would have been a good fit, and I just kind of they needed clarity on like, oh, what they're actually getting. So anyway, like both kind of sides of it, I think is helpful for me.
Got it. So the system, the whole system. Got it. All right, so I did create a worksheet for this for handling pushback without discounting. So basically, you want to identify the common pushback examples. I put one out there. There's a few that you can see here. You want to separate emotion from information. That's more than what we expected. Emotional reaction would be to pressure to justify the tuition, but you want to maybe have the information up front. The client is unfamiliar with the enrollment-based programs. Why group classes, desire to defend the format is your emotional reaction, but the information really is they need clarity on learning outcomes. You want to clarify the non-negotiables one more time. So your rate, the model, the features that come with it, and the non-negotiables. So again, the tuition, the group format, and the structure. The flexible elements, your entry point, students may enroll anytime it's rolling. Placement level within the program, payment schedule. Again, you can do monthly, you can do 6 months, you can do quarterly, 3 months. Quarterly is 3 months, excuse me, math. I only count to four. And or pay it all outright at the beginning of the first lesson for a full year. And then onboarding timing is basically on whenever you're ready. It remains fixed, but flexibility lives in access and pacing. Preparing calm professional responses. So what if we miss classes? All classes are recorded so students retain access to the material even if they can't attend live. Why group classes instead of private lessons? The group format allows students to hear one another, learn through observation, and develop musicianship alongside their peers. That's more than we expected. Enrollment is $5,500 a year for things that include 2 weekly group classes with access to recordings. Again, pause and regulation check, physical cue noticed. In this case, you urge to keep explaining if you really feel the desire, but you want to have the pause strategy where you answer once, then stop talking. And at that point, you ask yourself, when the pushback keeps occurring, what should you do in this particular moment? And in my case, I want to restate the structure, clarify the learning design. Don't again apologize for the pricing. Try not to offer discounts, and if you do, make it about add-ons and less about cutting the price fully or arguing comparisons with other programs that exist. Again, keep it calm, clear, and have silence where necessary. And again, the boundary statement for me would be this is a full year enrollment program with a fixed annual tuition and group-based learning model. Now, how does that resonate with people?
Seems like a good structure.
I do love nice structures, yes. And of course, there are more objections. They're just not listed here. They're in my script that are used for onboarding that I have to prepare myself for anything. Ha na na na.
Oh, no, this is good. Sorry, I didn't have anything to say. I think I just
You just unmuted. It happens to the best of us. All right. So we keep going. We negotiate with structure and not emotion. So we want to be sure that your strong negotiation is predictable, know what is flexible and what is not, and when you walk away. You want to be sure that you offer choices, you use your timelines, you put everything in writing, and make sure that you boundaries filter your clients. They don't repel them, if that makes sense. So you want to be sure that with the boundaries you set forward, as mentioned earlier, say for Hannah's situation where maybe there's a misalignment and maybe I might have construed that conversation a little bit, the boundaries are meant to basically steer the clients that are not fits to get them away because you want to be sure that your time and your value and your energy is always at a peak I'm not going to say 100 because I don't think that's physically possible, but in such a way that you can be at your best to give the instruction or give the coaching or give the rehearsal tactic to be at its finest. So then we talk about the final topic, language that reinforces value. So again, avoid apologizing, avoid softening your language, avoid over explaining. Your rate is information. It is not a question, ultimately. Say it clearly, say it once. Let silence work. Confidence is ultimately your calm. Any questions about that? No. Alrighty. So, are there any other questions before we walk away today? We're just about at time.
I think there's more questions that I could potentially have once I've had an opportunity to play around with these concepts and implement them.
For
So,
sure.
not that there's not questions to be had, but I think where I'm at right now, I'm leaving more curious about what implementation for
Mm,
me would result in, not necessarily how to do it, and any questions I might have would probably come after playing around with that for a little bit. For now,
perfect.
it's just a lot to chew on, a lot of
Yeah,
good stuff to chew on. So not in a bad way. I feel like I'm leaving with things to digest. So
good. Yeah, no, this is all very good to hear because this actually falls in line with what I'm about to say. So, thank you all for attending. You have the opportunity to join my Facebook group. I believe some of you are in it, but I can put it in the link as well or in the chat. It's called Opus Connection Point. It's an opportunity for you to view replays of webinars, be a part of a group of other freelance musicians who are hold on one second. Here we go. I can find you. I can find you. Who can support you along your journey. You can also view other valuable content that is out there, view upcoming webinars, and any other project that is coming out from my world, whether it be, I'm giving a workshop. If you'd like the replay for that, let me know, kind of deal. I also have a strategy call session that you can also set up if you are in fact interested in scheduling a strategy call to learn more about the program that I offer, or if you want to find an opportunity to partner with me in any sort of way, whether that be having a college workshop, Connor, or finding a way to maybe do some sort of a workshop overseas. Levi. This is your opportunity to set up that call as well. I would love to be able to chat more with you, any one of you, on any of these subjects, whether it be pricing strategies, any of my previous webinar topics, my story along the way of building the coaching business that exists before you, as well as how we can work together. So, thank you so much for attending.
Thanks, Drew.
You're welcome,
thank
Levi.
you.
Thanks, Chris. Let's climb sometime, Chris and Hannah.
Yes, absolutely. Starting in the new year,
Oh,
gonna
wonderful.
try and get on it. So
Good, 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 good.
all right, take care.
Right on. Take care.